Home renovation tips for investors. Hi, I'm Phil Pustiovsky with freedommentor.com. I'm a full-time real estate investor, real estate coach and mentor to some of the finest real estate investors across America and Canada. And in this video, I want to share with you some tips for renovating houses when you're investing in the property. Whether you are reselling to a new buyer who's going to move in, or even if you are going to be the landlord and you're going to be renting the property. The background to this is actually on a previous video, how to estimate the rehab costs. And so what I did is I took you through this exact same house, only when it looked absolutely terrible. So in this video, my goal is for you to see what I did, why I did it, so that you can apply these lessons on your own deals in the future. Now, the very first and arguably the most important point to make is that a lot of the time I do not purchase the property. In fact, I usually flip or assign the property to a real estate investor who's then going to do all of the dirty work. But in this case, I went outside of my rules. Now, you can learn more about why I believe that's the case in a video called The Secret to Flipping Houses. So why did I go outside the rules? Well, number one, cosmetic work. When all a house needs is a lot of cosmetic work, that is tailor-made for a real estate investor. Because when you have cosmetic work, there's a lot less that can go wrong. And also, if a deal has a ton of room in it and you can make a lot of money, sometimes it's worth the hassles to fix the property up. I want to take real estate investors through this property because it's such a shining example of what can happen when you focus on the right deals to renovate. This house had something special because I broke the rules. My rules on the video, The Secret to Flipping Houses, is that in most cases, renovating a house from where it's an ugly duckling to making it a beautiful swan oftentimes is a lose-lose, and it's more of a financial pitfall than a profit center. But this one was different. This house looked like a disaster when I first acquired it. The person was a hoarder. They had junk everywhere. But the house itself, the guts were good. This was cosmetic fix-up. That is painting, refinishing the floors, new carpets, anything that's external. And so one of the big rules that I've discovered in all my investing is that you want to refinish before replacing. Television shows, they love to show the part where someone has a sledgehammer in their hand and they're banging through walls. Well, I've got news for you. That is not investing. You see, people seem to feel like they're getting a lot of work done when they knock out walls and they remove things. But really, a truly successful investor refinishes, they paint, they do the cosmetic work. Now, I'm not saying you cover over a problem. By no means. If there's a significant problem, it needs to be replaced. But wherever possible, as opposed to knocking out walls, you want to repaint. You want to do cosmetic work. And so that's what was special about this house. It looked terrible, but it was cosmetic work. Now, there was one big gaping hole in this house. With all that junk, there were things you couldn't see. You couldn't walk in the master bedroom. There were definitely the potential issues of hidden problems. So why would I take on a deal like this? Because there is so much room in the deal. A lot of potential profit. So I was willing to take on the risk of discovering some potential problems that I didn't know. And so that's why this particular property was special. It went outside the rule. You know, my rule of a quick nickel beats a slow dime. Well, in this case, a slow quarter definitely beats a quick nickel. Cosmetic exterior improvements. New paint. In fact, we freshened it up with a different color to make it more light, more fresh, more airy. Repainted all of the trim. We not only improved the roof look by trimming the trees, but we actually improved the look of the shingles themselves. See, this roof was not all that old. It's just the tree limbs that were above it had actually created a lot of mold and those kinds of stains. And so with a little bit of cleaning, it went a long way. We absolutely opened up the view of the lake. Now, we didn't completely remove every tree from the view, and that's because the HOA would have had a real problem with that. We had to tread lightly there, open up the view, but not completely. And you'll notice that there has been some landscaping done. Now, I will confess, I am not a master landscape architect. I put those kinds of things on the shoulders of the contractors I hire to use their own creativity to make it look good. Now, some may disagree with that point and they may want to have complete control over the entire project. But for me, since I know that's not one of my skill sets, I hire good people who I know can do a great job with the landscaping. When you walked into this entrance room, you had to take 2 steps down and then 2 steps back up. It was a bizarre design, and there was wood paneling on one wall. So what we did was we put in a floor to even this out, and then we also put some drywall over that paneling. Now, this is a little bit more than cosmetic, but it wasn't very difficult to add a few beams and put a subfloor down. So this was actually well within the range of cosmetic. But look at the difference. It's just really pretty simple stuff, but an amazing change that created a nice flow from the front door as you flowed into the kitchen. Look at this kitchen. Now, this did involve a little bit of replacing. We replaced the cabinets, replaced the countertops. We put in a backsplash, and we replaced the appliances. We ended up putting quite a bit of time, energy, and money into the kitchen. Why? The kitchen sells the house. And that's a simple principle that most people know, but you've got to apply it in your investing experiences. Being able to transform a kitchen can make the difference between you selling the house quickly and not. And so when in doubt, and what we did here is we put more time and energy into the kitchen than any other room. And there's a hidden secret as to why spending time on the kitchen is so important. It's the only counter space in the house. So when a real estate agent or a buyer is walking through the property and then at some point they want to consider making an offer, they typically congregate in the kitchen. So it means there's more time spent there, which means that if there is going to be more eyeballs, more time spent there, it needs to feel and look great. And I guess by the same token, if you don't have any plans of fixing up the kitchen and you want to take the eyeballs away from the kitchen, then I suppose the best thing to do is put a table and chairs in another room. But yet one last reason why the kitchen is so important. Gentlemen, and you know this to be true, the women in your life are going to make the decision on which house that you're going to move into. That is absolutely true. And so you definitely want to cater to the women when it comes to your renovations. And how do you cater to them? Make the kitchen nice, make the bathrooms nice. The flooring is certainly a critical part of a cosmetic renovation. We chose a mid-grade pergo for basically the entire house, except the bedrooms. We put carpet in the bedrooms because that's what retail buyers want. If my goal or my end strategy was to rent the property out, I would put pergo in every single room. And I'll use differing levels of pergo depending on the neighborhood. So if it's a really, really nice area, I'll do a really, really nice pergo. And if it is a not so nice area, I'll do the least expensive pergo. Now, if you are in a house that already has wood flooring and you just have to refinish those floors, that's even better. But for those that have to replace the flooring altogether, I'm a big fan of pergo. It's inexpensive, it's easy to install, and it looks absolutely fantastic. We walked in that living room before. It was dirty, it was old, there was a crack in the ceiling. The chimney was dirty, and now look at it. The cathedral ceilings are now a strength. We've accentuated them by painting, by spackling over the crack, and also by refinishing the chimney and making this entire room look and feel like home. And as a homeowner, how relaxing to be able to look outside your living room and see this beautiful lake. You can actually walk into the master bedroom. Before, I had to cram the door open just to slide in, and I was tripping over cassette tapes and books and all kinds of stuff. So what we did here was so simple. We removed a lot of junk. We also accentuated the cathedral ceilings by making sure that they were painted. And now this is the kind of room that is truly a master bedroom. With the cathedral ceilings and the light pouring in, this is a special place. And it's the kind of room that is important because typically the person staying in this room is the one paying for the house purchase. Here in the bathroom and in the other bathroom as well, it was as simple as cleaning this tile with the special cleaning tools, as well as changing the vanity, painting, and that's it. I mean, this was cosmetic at its best, and you can see the difference between where it was before to where it is now. One thing can definitely occur when you repaint, when you refinish, when you replace floor coverings, and that is it will expose any old or gross things. And in fact, things that you didn't even notice will all of a sudden stick out like a sore thumb. So to avoid that problem, make sure when you are going to go through a rehab of any type, any sort of cosmetic renovation, that you put into your budget to replace all of what we call hardware, whether it be blinds or light switch covers and knobs and door handles. All of these things, they're little, they're small, but they make a big difference. So what would I have done differently on this house if I was renting the property? Well, I would make sure that all of the flooring is Pergo as opposed to any carpet. The paint actually would have been a different type of paint. That way I wouldn't have to keep repainting over and over again. It's more expensive, but it will last longer. So I would have spent more money on the paint materials. I may not have gone to such a great extent to replace the cabinets, although I would have replaced the countertops, because renters are not going to be quite so fickle about just how perfect everything is. So I would have probably skipped on the replacement of the cabinets. I would have put in new appliances because the tenants would complain about that anyways, that the appliances weren't working. And on the exterior, I may have avoided even painting the outside. Now, yes, it didn't look as good as it does now, but since I'm not trying to sell it, I don't have to absolutely knock the tenant out with just perfection and beauty. So in some ways, you cut corners when you are going to be a landlord, but in other ways you don't, especially on paint, because you don't want to have to keep repainting over and over again. And if you use the right kind of paint, it's a lot easier to wash off their marks and those kinds of things, as well as it may cost a little bit more money to not put carpet in, but the difference can be not having to replace the flooring over and over again every time a tenant moves out. These are the deals you want to focus on, the cosmetic repairs, because they have huge bang for your buck. It's easy to find a lot of contractors that can do it. And it's easy for you to manage the project because you know what they're doing. You can see it. There's nothing hidden. You know if they painted or not. They know if they finished the floor or not. And you can do this. This is absolutely within your wheelhouse. You can turn an ugly duckling into a beautiful swan simply by applying the rule of going with projects that require cosmetic renovations. And what that means not only for you but for the new homeowner is that you're giving them a freshly updated home, and for you, a huge potential profit. Well, I hope you learned a tremendous amount on this video, because renovation costs in rehabbing houses is a huge pitfall for a lot of investors. They can lose a lot of money, and I certainly hope that from what I've shared that you will apply this knowledge and therefore avoid a lot of the mistakes that people have made in the past. Now, to learn more about our style of investing and what we do, you head over to freedommentor.com. You can also grab my book, How to Be a Real Estate Investor. It's a #1 bestseller on Amazon. And also, if you want to take your investing to an entirely new level, we have a special apprentice program where you'll work directly with me and my team, and we will walk you step by step through this entire business and literally transform you into a first-class market-leading real estate investor. I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.